league. So let's see how that all works out, that Christos Zolis, or Solis should I say, is now 100% an Arsenal player. But will Bruno Guimaraes be next? That is the big question. Big news yesterday that Arsenal have submitted a bid of £70 million to Newcastle to try and sign him. It was broken yesterday by the BBC journalist Sami Mokbel. Fabrizio Romano confirmed it. That bid is now in with Newcastle, but has been rejected. They want more money. They're said to be looking for around about £85 million. We put in 75. Are we going to meet somewhere in the middle and get this deal done? Fabrizio Romano yesterday saying that personal terms have been agreed with Bruno Guimaraes. I've been saying it for the last couple of weeks. Bruno Guimaraes wants to come to Arsenal. And Newcastle, we know they don't want to sell him, but a bit like last year with Alexander Isak, they'll know there that they're probably going to have to let him go. And did we see evidence of that yesterday? Because Newcastle actually signed a defensive midfielder, Aladaji Bambo. They signed him from Monaco. So is that a sign that they're preparing for life after Bruno Guimaraes? Was speaking to somebody earlier, not going to say who, but earlier here at Arsenal, and they were saying to me that they're quite confident, without being overconfident, because remember what happened with Morgan Rogers, but they're quite confident that something for this will get done and that Bruno Guimaraes will come in. Listen, it will be a major signing for Arsenal. We've seen Bruno Guimaraes over the years. He's been an absolutely incredible player for Newcastle. Bruno Guimaraes, Declan Rice in the midfield. I mean, listen, you drool over stuff like that. It would be a fantastic signing. And obviously, Newcastle don't want to let him go because he's been an unbelievable player for them over the years. He's their captain. So it's a difficult deal to get done. But it seems like they will meet somewhere in the middle. It's probably going to have to go up to around about 75 to 80 million for Arsenal to get this deal done. But Bruno Guimaraes still being heavily linked with Arsenal. There's even rumours going around that he would go on strike to force a move. Whether he does that or puts a transfer request in, I don't think he wants to do that. He doesn't want it to go that far. He'd rather leave with the goodwill of the fans still remaining from Newcastle. But it's starting to look like Bruno Guimaraes is starting to move closer to a move to Arsenal. And it's one that we're going to have to watch over the next couple of days. Anything on it at all, we'll break the news here first. If Arsenal don't get Bruno Guimaraes, are there alternatives? Could that be Eduardo Camavinga of Real Madrid? Because according to The Guardian, they're claiming that Real Madrid are open to selling him this transfer window for around about £51 million. Now, when Camavinga first came into Real Madrid, seen as an unbelievable signing, and he's an excellent player. I remember watching him for Rennes when Rennes played Arsenal those years back in the Europa League and thinking, who's this kid? He's been absolutely incredible, but last season was really injury hit for him. He didn't make the France squad for the World Cup either, and his stock has really fallen at Real Madrid, and according to The Guardian, they would be willing to let him go this season for around about £51 million. That seems kind of cheap because surely it'd be more than that, even though that's around about his valuation. But as I said, that's been a bit injury prone. Could he be an option if Arsenal are unable to get Bruno Guimaraes? That's going to be one to keep an eye on. But Eduardo Camavinga could be available this summer, according to The Guardian. Arsenal, of course, we know need a centre-back. We know about the injury to Saliba. We know that he's going to be out for an extended amount of time. They've been looking at players. One of those is Maxence Lacroix, but Lacroix is on his way to Chelsea. He's going to be having a medical at Chelsea today and will sign on as a new Chelsea player. Arsenal really more looking for either a young player or somebody who can come in and cover off the fact that Saliba's going to be out. And they've been linked today with Jacobu Ramon. Jacobu Ramon, Sami Mokbel, again from the BBC, very good journalist on these things. He said that he's this player Ramon is on Arsenal's shortlist following the injury to Saliba. However, he says that it's not an easy deal to get done because of clauses in his contract that makes this potential transfer very difficult. Ramon, he's 21, he's Spanish. He had a great season last year for Como over there in Italy. Of course, Como getting European football, but he's under contract till 2030, and Como don't want to sell him. Really imposing centre-back, 6'5", you know, really good at winning duels, would be a player that could really come in and not only cover for Saliba, but also offer a really good competition for him once Saliba gets fit. But at the moment, it's starting to look like that'd be a really difficult deal to get done. As we know, Arsenal, though, need a centre-back. The fact, I feel, that they even came out this week and made it quite public, the fact that Saliba's going to be out, shows you that they know they've got a problem there, even though we got Mosquera, who can come in and cover. Another player that's been apparently offered to Arsenal, he goes by the name of Zeno de Bast. He's a centre-back. He plays for Sporting CP over there in Portugal. Nationality is actually from Belgium, and he's actually a Belgium international. 26 caps he's had for Belgium so far. Wasn't actually, though, at the World Cup due to injury. So he was selected for the World Cup, but didn't make the World Cup squad due to injury. And according to Court Offside, they're claiming that he's been offered to Arsenal by intermediaries. Now, good player, solid player. The only problem is injuries. As I said, wasn't at the World Cup because of injuries. Only played 17 games for Sporting last year because of a hamstring and knee injuries. Is that the sort of player that Arsenal want to take on? You know, 20, still, you know, a fairly young player. But is that the sort of player that Arsenal want to take on to cover off someone who's already injured? Perhaps not. But being offered to Arsenal, lots of links around today in various publications, including Court Offside, linking Zeno de Bast to Arsenal. And of course, we know that Arsenal are interested in Ezri Konsa. That was confirmed yet again by Sammy Motbell. But again, Ezri Konsa of Aston Villa will not be cheap.
You behave badly and don't let my family in peace, I'll be gone. I just turn away. I mean, I know that there are other countries where national team head coaches are treated even worse, but I am always, I mean, I love this job, but I'm always ready to just call it quits if need be. So all I'm there for is the issue. Jürgen Klopp is not going to have any career, in inverted commas, after the national team. This is the pinnacle, the absolute high point of my footballing career as coach.
First of all, we have to say that around big players there are always speculations. So I'm not worried about that. I think it's normal. Also because they won the World Cup. He was the best player or one of the best players. And I think every manager wants to have Rodri because he's a top player. But now, as you said, surgery on, I think, Monday. And he needs holiday, he needs to rest, he needs to recover. And then he will be back here with us.
Andy? Yeah, hello, Enzo.
Let's start with the biggest one, Bruno Guimaraes. According to Fabrizio Romano, Arsenal are readying a second official bid worth £70 million for the Newcastle captain, and this time there's real substance behind it. Romano has stated plainly that Arsenal have full agreement in place with Guimaraes on personal terms. The contract is ready, the contract is done, and in his words, Bruno says yes to the Arsenal project. Two earlier approaches, one worth £55 million through verbal channels and another worth £65 million through intermediaries, were both knocked back by Newcastle. But this new offer, understood to be somewhere just north of £70 million, is being described as Arsenal's most serious and concrete push yet. Here's what makes this one so compelling. Guimaraes has reportedly told Newcastle directly that he wants to leave, and according to Romano, he wants to be respectful with the club given everything they've built together, but he has made clear that his decision is to go. Newcastle's public stance, though, has not softened at all. Sources close to the club describe the idea of selling at £70 million as a non-starter, insisting their valuation sits much higher, and Mikel Arteta is reportedly pushing hard behind the scenes to get this over the line without Arsenal blowing past their self-imposed limit. That's the key tension here. Arsenal know what happened with Morgan Rogers, where they held a hard-line valuation, refused to go higher than 80 million, and ultimately watched Chelsea swoop in and get their man for 117 million instead. The question now is whether Arsenal have learned from that experience or whether they'll once again find themselves priced out of a deal they clearly want. Now let's move to a name that could offer an alternative route into the midfield without the same financial headache: Eduardo Camavinga. Reports out of Spain suggest Real Madrid are open to selling the French international for somewhere between 50 and 60 million euros, which works out to roughly 42 to 51 million pounds. That is a remarkably modest price for a player of Camavinga's pedigree, a two-time Champions League winner still only in his mid-20s. Arsenal have reportedly been contacted directly and offered the chance to sign him, and the appeal from a footballing perspective is obvious. Camavinga thrives in physical midfield battles, wins the ball back relentlessly, and could allow Declan Rice more license to push forward as a genuine box-to-box presence. There is a catch though. Camavinga is understood to still prefer staying at the Bernabeu, and Arsenal have reportedly been treating this more as an opportunity that's been presented to them rather than a priority they're actively chasing, since Guimaraes remains their #1 target in that area of the pitch. Still, at under £51 million, this is the kind of value play that could quickly become very appealing if the Guimaraes pursuit stalls. And finally, let's talk defence, because Arsenal have a genuine emergency on their hands after William Saliba suffered a back injury during France's World Cup semi-final defeat to Spain. Surgery has been avoided, but Saliba is facing an extended rehabilitation period that could sideline him for months rather than weeks, and for a title-defending side, that's a serious blow. According to multiple reports, Arsenal have narrowed their search down to two primary options: John Stones and Ezri Konsa, with Stones available as a free agent following his release from Manchester City and Konsa valued by Aston Villa at a significant fee.